everybody knows I'm not a Jeep fan, but this Rubicon, now this might be a horse of a different color. They only make a certain amount of them. It took him 3 months to get his. He ordered it. Let's hope that he got a good engine. This is the 3rd generation eco diesel. Not the 1st or 2nd, the 3rd. Now people used to laugh about them being called eco diesel, especially the first 2 generations, because they were very ecological for a diesel engine. They would blow up and not run, then they didn't pollute at all. They had so many problems. Realize, as you can see, this Gladiator Rubicon was made in USA. Yes, the vehicle was made, put together in USA, but the engine, on the other hand, was made in Italy. It's a company that Fiat bought years ago, and they've had a lot of problems with this engine. This is the 3rd generation. Let's hope he doesn't have problems with this engine. He's already told me he's going to change the oil and filter religiously every 7,000 miles. If you do buy one of these, especially if you get the older generation, you got to change the oil a lot. And if you are buying a used one, now he bought this one spanking brand new, but if you're buying a used one, you want a guy like me to test the engine. And I would even go this far. If you're thinking about buying a used one, I would take an oil sample of it and I would send it to one of those overnight oil analysis companies to get it analyzed, to see if are the bearings worn. Is there anything weird in the oil to show that the engine's worn out? Because these diesel engines cost a fortune. I've had customers with them. Some are on their 2nd or 3rd engine of the generation 1 or generation 2. I haven't seen any generation 3 going out yet, but you got to realize they're pretty new. Good news, this guy's an engineer. He's a mechanical engineer, so he's had the oil analyzed. And the original one had a little silica, but they said it's wearing in. And after 3 times of change it, they said, oh, it's all back to normal now. Realize when they cast them and stuff, you're going to get silica, you're going to get some stuff in, but as it's wearing in, they say it's getting better, so that gets rid of the residual stuff when it was built. And he's going to keep doing it as he changes the oil, so he'll know for sure if he's going to have any problems in the future. The problem with oil analysis is a lot of guys do it when they get older and then it's too late. He's an engineer and he's doing some precautionary testing, which is a very smart thing to do. It doesn't cost that much to get oil analysis done. So if you're the type of person that doesn't like maintaining their vehicles and drive them until they fall apart, don't buy one of these. But if you're going to be like him and take care of it, if you remember last year, I had that lady bring a Fiat Abarth, souped up Fiat 500, had 150 something thousand miles, still ran like a clock. Well, she raced motorcycles and 2-stroke motorcycles. She knew about engines. She took care of that and it was still running like a clock doing donuts. Even with all that mileage, still had the original engine, the original transmission. If you really take care of things and you do a little research, hey, we just hope that this 3rd generation one has all the bugs out of it. Only time will tell with that. For a heavy vehicle that weighs like 2 tons, this thing gets decent gas mileage. The top he ever got was 26.8, and on a bad day, he gets 22 in the winter when it's colder and less efficient. That's why they went to this engine. They say that this gets 30% better gas mileage than a Hemi, which is true. But on the other hand, a V8 gasoline Hemi engine is one of the biggest gas hog engines ever created. You know, those things are still push rod engines, you know. We're talking dinosaur technology. They're not even overhead cam. And this is a very intricate engine. The Italians have fantastic ideas and designs. The problem is the implementation of them. We hope that this one is going to hold up. So far it has. He's got 18,000 miles, so time will tell. We'll see as time goes on, you know. Who knows? Maybe when I'm 75 years old, they'll bring it over here and we'll say, hey, look, it worked out pretty good. Or maybe he'll say, oh, damn, the thing blew up. Well, you know. In the previous generation, Chrysler had to replace a lot of them under warranty. This is the 3rd generation, so let's hope the Italians maybe have learned from the Japanese. Maybe they hired some Japanese engineers. I don't know. I kind of doubt that. But maybe they decided, yes, they actually are building them better than they used to. Why reinvent the wheel? Well, of course, because this was Fiat Chrysler. It even says Fiat Chrysler LLC on it, right? Well, that's an Italian company. Of course they're going to use an Italian engine. They bought the company that makes the engines. Now, this is a 4-wheel drive setup, and it does have a very good transmission. It's the German 8-speed automatic transmission. You can go automatic or manual mode, and He says it's got a little bit of lag when a turbo kicks in, but I mean, hey, it is a diesel, and you can see this is a real four-wheel drive vehicle. And of course, it's got electronics too that'll show you what's happening, so you don't have to just guess if it's working or not. Now, this is the Rubicon version, so you can lock both the front and the rear. Now, he hasn't really taken it off-road yet, because he doesn't want to ruin his warranty, but he's planning on lifting it, and it doesn't have it yet. There's a cute little panel here. Hopefully, they can get a snorkel kit. You can throw a snorkel on it. Now, the regular stuff is 3-year, 36,000 mile warranty, but they do have a much longer warranty on the engine. So you're not taking as big of a gamble that you might think, because if it does go out, they're going to have to replace it. Now, they had to do that because of the problems they had with the early ones. If, like some of my customers, you end up having to get an engine replaced, if it's under warranty, you don't really care. You're getting a free engine. And he's planning on buying the extended warranty that goes to 125,000 miles, 8 years for the engine. He said it's around 1,800 bucks. If you were going to buy one of these, I would advise buying that. I am not a big warranty fan by any stretch of the imagination. But one of these fancy Italian diesel engines, if you get 8 years, 135,000 mile warranty, it would be worth it. He did pay $60,000. It took him 3 months to get it. So it would be worthwhile to spend that to get 8 years and 125,000 miles. Well, if the engine blows up, they're gonna have to fix it free. Now realize this diesel engine is an option. You gotta pay $4 grand more. But with this engine, you also have to pay another $2 to get that transmission. But let me tell you, that is an 8-speed German transmission. They are marvelous, but unlike a lot of the Italian stuff that may be marvelous ideas, but in reality they fall apart, the German stuff doesn't. Their transmissions have been out, they're 8 speeds for a long time, and they can last a really long time. I've seen some of the Chryslers with them 160,000, they're still going okay. I wouldn't care what I had in this thing, I'd pay extra $2 to get that transmission, because it's a very good German transmission. He's a typical guy buying a Jeep. He added the bumper, he added the winch and the fog lamps, the side steps are added, and he didn't want to pay for all the decals, so he did that himself. I think he did a pretty good job, if you ask me. He also didn't like the tiny Jeep, so he went old school, and I think he really set it off. They should just make them this way. It looks a lot better. But really, since Stellantis had bought it, you got these European guys making them, and they don't understand Americans, you know? They should hire some guys like him. He is a mechanical engineer, after all. But I've met some Europeans, and they can be very stodgy people, and they probably wouldn't listen to a word he said, so you can just customize it yourself. So let's take it for a ride. Now, it's too windy today, but of course it's a Jeep. The windshield will fold down if you want to get in full military mode. Check it out. There's a lot of room in this back seat too. You know, top, everything comes off. As you can see, you can lock the diff. There's a lot of technology in this thing. So let's start it up. Now, first off, I gotta say, that is one smooth diesel engine. We'll put it in reverse. Does it shake? No, it doesn't shake at all. It's got a really good backup camera. Now, he doesn't want to ruin his warranty, so we're not going to go off-road, but we got this big hump at the end of my driveway to keep water from going in. It went over it with no problem at all. You're plenty high up in this thing, and he is going to eventually lift it. For a vehicle this weight and this size, and we're going through the crappy Rhode Island road here in my neighborhood, it really rides rather smooth, I gotta say. Being as large as it is, it rides a lot better than the smaller wheelbase, the little Jeeps. And especially the Jeep Renegade, which we all know is not a Jeep, but is a four-wheel drive Fiat, which they never should have sold as a Jeep. This is an actual Jeep. Now, it is a diesel. Let's see what kind of pickup it has before it. Not too shabby. Not racing, but it's got a nice sound, and it got going pretty fast, pretty quick. And here's something that really surprises me. This thing is pretty quiet. Normally, man, these Jeeps, if you saw the one I did on the old 70s Jeep my grandson bought, geez, it was like a B-17 bomber going down 45 miles an hour. This thing is like a Cadillac compared to that. It really doesn't make all that much noise, even with those relatively aggressive tires. He had it weighed on an actual scale. With fuel and everything, it weighs 5,800 pounds. So it almost weighs 3 tons, which if you think about it, it's phenomenal that one time he got 26.7 miles per gallon in a vehicle that weighs about 3 tons with gasoline and oil in it. So we'll pray that third generation eco diesel holds up. He's going to buy the extended warranty for 8 years and 125,000 miles, so he really isn't going to have to worry anything with that. With the German transmission, that's a pretty bulletproof 8-speed. That works fine. He really likes this vehicle, and I gotta say, for that kind of gas mileage in a vehicle like that, hey, let's hope the Eco diesel engine holds up. Only time will tell, so stay tuned. It's a Hyundai Accent. I'm not the big Korean car fan, but we're gonna go through the whole thing. Now, the first thing I always check on these is where are they made? Because, believe it or not, the ones that are made in Korea are the best ones. Now, we'll look at the mileage. 2016, and his actual key, which makes me happier. It's got a little over 67,000 miles on it. While we're inside, we'll check it out. This is an economy basic car, but it doesn't look bad. It's got the faux carbon fiber, very comfortable cloth seats, and a lot of room in the back seat. Take a listen. Starts right up. Now, since it's a 2016, it doesn't have a backup camera. And it does have a CD, 2016, but the AC works so good, she has it turned up to add more heat. I like it as cold to go, so I'll turn it down. I like them cold. And as you can see, it doesn't shake, even with the AC on full blast. It is a basic car. It doesn't have a steering wheel with any kind of controls on it. Turn the traction control off. It's off. Now it's on. You get that option. And you can also try for a little bit better gas mileage by putting it in eco mode. Now, it's an economy car, but this particular one gets 36 miles a gallon on the highway. That's good gas mileage. So look under the hood, and we have a 1.6 liter GDI gasoline engine. We'll take this stupid cover off, throw it over here, see what we got. There's the high pressure fuel pump, easy to get to if it goes bad. 4-cylinder engine, GDI injection, has a reasonable amount of power for a car that gets 36 miles a gallon. It's got the GDI, but it's not excessively over complex. Doesn't have a turbocharger. It's a relatively simple design that, if built correctly, and from my experience, the one built in Korea are built a lot more correctly than the ones they build here and in other countries. See, the double overhead cam engine has a timing chain. You don't have to mess with the timing belt. Easy access if you do have to work on things. But of course, the computer never lies, so let's hook it up and see what kind of shape it's like internally. So turn the key on. Plug in the scan tool. Well, in this case, must be behind here. And lo and behold, there it is. Out of sight, out of mind. Well, in this case, now it's in mind because we can see it. Plug her in. First thing we'll do is a health report. Here we go. The steering's good. ABS, transmission control is good. 2 codes for the pad system. Airbag has a code. Airbag event has a code. And the control module has a code. We'll check the ECM first. Multiple misfire. Cylinder number 4 misfired, pending. It's running fine now. A lot of times, this is a used car sold at Carvana. They buy them and sell them. They don't know. People are suing them all the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to reset the code and then take it on a road test. And then check it out. We'll do clear fault code. Then we got to turn the engine off. And then turn it on with the key on with the engine not running. And we're going to clear the code. We'll make sure it erased it, and no trouble code, so it did. The pad system here. See what that says. ACU communication, CAN bus problem. Again, we don't know the history, so we're going to erase that code. Those can often be because the battery was weak. It sat while they were selling it for a while. We don't know. So we'll erase it, and then we'll take it for a nice road test. And now we can see everything's normal. There aren't any codes. Now, the main thing I'm worried about is misfire codes. Is it misfire or not? So we're going to take it for a good hard road test. Misfires often occur when you're really straining an engine, so we'll take it to our little drag strip, and meanwhile, we'll road test it around. And it's an econo box car, but hey, it's got decent handling. It's not racing or anything, but it feels safe enough driving around on it. And being a small car, of course, it's going to take cornering quite well. I mean, it's a little econo box car. And the transmission is not bad. I mean, it's only got 67,000 miles, but when you step on it, it downshifts. When you take your foot off, it upshifts without any jerking or anything. And of course, realize it has no transmission trouble codes. You already checked that with the machine. Now, it is a Carvana, so she paid too much. That's just how it is, though. She put $5 grand down, and she still got $285 a month payment. So you're going to be paying money for a Carvana car. They're not giving them away by any stretch of the imagination. Get out here on the road, see if it's going to have any misfire. Because if it's got a misfire, it's got a problem. And I tell her to take it back. They do have to warranty their cars. Even though they don't let me check it out before they buy, if I say it's bad, they can force to either fix it or buy it back. So here we are. We'll step on the gas. Not a race car, but we're going to strain it. By by going at higher RPMs, if there is a misfire, it's going to trip on the computer and tell us so. So we'll drive like the proverbial bat out of Hades on this trip to see if we can get it to misfire. I don't feel anything, but the computer's the ultimate judge. But once you're going and you have to pass somebody, you step on the gas, you can see it's going faster. Not all that faster, but the higher it revs, the more acceleration it has. You're gonna get a little car like this, it gets 36 miles a gallon. It's not gonna act like a race car. It'll get you where you're going. Yeah, Korean cars have had a lot of engine problems. It's not the ones that are made in Korea. It's the ones made in the United States that had a lot of problems that I've seen. And this one seems fine. It's not burning any oil. Doesn't make any odd noises. But it did have that misfire code, and that makes me wondering. So I'm gonna drive the heck out of this thing. Now let's say this thing sat on a lot a long time. Yeah, it might have misfired for a while because the battery was low, it was drained. Lots of things go wrong. This test is gonna tell us whether it's misfiring or not. We'll take off fast. Well, as fast as this thing goes. See what happens when we get back with the data, if it's got any misfires. Now it's an economy car. You can manually shift it. See, now we're in 4th gear, now we're in 3rd gear, now we're in 2nd gear, and it gets in there pretty fast. Put manual mode on 1 and see what happens. Here we go. Definitely a lot faster, and those manual shifts are pretty smooth. It doesn't really lag or anything. I do have to say I'm impressed by the manual shift. It really is a lot tighter. Gives a lot more acceleration. Of course, you get worse gas mileage too. And we'll go by the little airport, give it some more gas. See what happens. So let's say you're looking at a used car and it has a misfire. Do what I do, reset the codes, then give it some hard driving. See what happens when you're done. Really, it is a lot more fun shifting it manually. It's much more fun to drive. Plus, if it has a misfire, hey, keep it in higher RPMs is going to find it faster. And sometimes the misfires take a couple of trips, so we'll shut it off, wait about a minute, then start it up again. So then when we start it up, we'll go back to put it in manual, start driving it hard again. So here we are going back to where we started, and we'll look at the data. We'll do a health report again. Everything's green. None of the codes came back. We even look at the ECM that had the misfire we were worried about. There's no codes, there's no pending codes. So all in all, some point in time, maybe the battery went dead, they replaced the battery. Who knows? It's running perfectly fine. It has no misfire. I drove the heck out of it. And if it was having a misfire, on those screaming, staying up high RPMs, it would have tripped something. It didn't trip anything. So at some point in time, who knows what has been done. This is a Carvana car. Nobody knows the history of this thing. You don't get any history from it. But even though it's sort of overpriced, it's a good, solid car. And just for giggles, I'm looking under the hood. So the battery was replaced 5 of 20. So my whole guess is, well, the battery was replaced a while ago when it was weak. Could have caused all those communication codes. They put in a new battery. They probably didn't reset anything. I did, and nothing came back. So not overly fast, but a lot faster when you go to standard mode. It gets 36 miles a gallon. So it could last quite some time. Listen to me about this though. If you look at one of these, look at the sticker. Try to get one that's made in Korea. They build them better in Korea. Especially the ones that they build in the United States, they've had all kinds of engine problems with. If you're gonna buy one of these, try to get one that's made in Korea. All right, today we have a Ford, a Focus. The AC isn't blowing cold enough, so I'm going to show you how you can diagnose and fix it, hopefully without spending a whole bunch of money. Now, there's many things that can go wrong with an AC system, but we'll open the hood and check the #1 problem, and that's being low on refrigerant. I'm going to look around here until we find where the refrigerant lines are. There's a high side and there's a low side. So let's start looking around. Well, I don't see the stupid thing anywhere. You know why? Because the Ford engineers are swines. They've hidden the stupid AC low pressure line inside the fender. So I have to jack the car up, take the wheel off. So we got to pull the wheel off. Stick that over here. Then we got to pull the fender liner off. And why do they do this? Because they can, and they're swines. There. Now you can see there's the cap where you can put the gauge on. All the other cars have them on the top. You can just add them. You got to take all this off. They're just swines. You go to the dealer, then they'll rip you off because they know where it is, and it's a pain to do. Just absolutely stupid, but that's how Ford is. So we get the low pressure gauge, the blue one, and we'll hook it up here. It snaps on, then we turn the valve down. Now it's open and we can read the pressure. The static pressure doesn't mean much. We need to turn it on, see what the pressure is with it running. So start her up. Put it on full blast AC. Now as we can see, it's coming down. It's going too low, it should be higher. And every once in a while it shuts itself off and goes too high. Whenever you get a car where the pressure starts higher, goes lower, 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 then it shuts off and then comes down, hopefully that's just because it's low on refrigerant. Once it starts sucking, if the pressure gets too low, the computer shuts the compressor off, the pressure goes up. It should just stay at 35 psi or so. Since it's hot today, maybe even 40, 42 psi. It's low on refrigerant, but we don't know what's in the system. This is an old car with 200-something thousand miles on it. So you can see right here that it takes 740 grams, 0.740 kilograms of 740 grams. And also we have no idea if there's air in the system, who's worked on it all these years. So we're going to evacuate the system with a pump it all out. Then the system will be empty and we will fill it correctly with 740 grams of R138 refrigerant. Realize if somebody gets air in the system, it can work, but it screws up everything. And if you have more than like 3 or 4 parts of water vapor per million parts of refrigerant, the water vapor will screw the system up. We're going to empty it all out and fill it up with a factory load. And as a general rule of thumb, evacuate it for about an hour. That'll get all the moisture and air. Anything that's in the system, we start from fresh. See, the pressure here is about -30. That's what you want. It's a full vacuum. Sucked everything out. So, shut the gauge off and we'll hook the headline up to our tank of refrigerant. Now, you can see it's at 0. We're going to put in 740 grams. Don't get confused. 0.740 kilograms is 740 grams. It's a metric system. At least it makes sense amongst itself. Then we'll open up a gauge and it'll start going in. Now, realize one thing. Okay, I'm a mechanic. I got big 30-pound cans and a reverse scale. You might want to add it with those little cans you buy. The only problem is how you're going to get 740 grams in, because the cans are 500, 600, whatever. They're different. If you do want to do it that way, you can. You can use these smaller cans. You see this one's got 340 grams, right? But you need 740. You'd put 2 of those cans in, then you get another can and put it on a little Postal scale. I bought a Postal scale. It does up to like 15 pounds, and you stick it on there, and then you just wait until the rest of the grams are in, then you turn the gauge off. I use the big can, but you can use smaller cans. It's very hard to get the right amount with the small cans unless you use the Postal scale. Then you can do just what I'm doing, only instead of having this big can on top of a big scale, you got a little can on top of a little scale. And there we go. It's starting to fill up now. This is where you want 740 on the dot. And is it blowing cold? Yes, it is. Now you can hear the compressor sometimes making a little noise. There it goes. It's worn. There's no arguing that. Realize this thing has 209,000 miles on it. So in an attempt to make it last a little longer, we're going to put an ounce of AC oil to see if the compressor will last any longer. I'm a mechanic, so I have tools to do it. I use this little squeeze pump that squeezes the ounce in and measures it. But if you want, you can buy a can of the refrigerant that has an ounce of oil in it and use that. Squeeze it till about an ounce is in. Measures it here, and we hope it quiets it down some, because if not, it's going to need a new compressor. Brought the fender back on, the fender liner, and down goes the tire. We'll take it for a spin. Well, so far so good. The oil seems to be working because it's not making the horrible rashes noises it was making before. We'll see how it goes. Hey, it's over 100 degrees outside today, and it's really cooling me quite well now. Let's hope it lasts. The noises went away. You never know. It's got 200,000 miles. It is a Ford. The compressor's worn, but it's blowing nice and cold now, so just hope. So there we have it, nice cold air. What did we learn? Sometimes the only thing a system needs is to be evacuated out, because you don't know what's in it, if there's air in it or water vapor. Fill it up with a factory load, and in this case, since the compressor was noisy and it has 200,000 miles, we took a chance, added an ounce of AC oil, and as you can tell, it's not making the horrible clacking noises. It's fixed for the time being, but it's nice and cold. Hey, cheap car was bought for $1,000 or so, and the AC's cold now, at least for the time being. This is how you can fix things on the cheap. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.